What up? What is up, man? Last call here, doing a last call reacts. I'm gonna take a few minutes of your time to talk about what you see on the thumbnail over there and see if I can pop this up in the background. Boom. Everybody's talking about this. And let me do a little rewind. Look, there's a lot of videos. Actually, I wanted to ask you guys out there, was this guy that popular? Like, did people really know about him before all this latest news going on? The guy that I'm talking about there is there on the left side by the name of Akaash Singh. Um, why we're kind of doing this and why it's attached, its name is called Dude Ain't Dudin Part 2 or number 2. I actually did a video on these guys like last year. It was like my second video that I did on my channel here when I started to do the whole podcast thing. But anyway, the point of the dudes ain't duding. The first one was when the guy on the far right, Andrew Schultz, who him and Akaash are a team that do Flagrant 2. Andrew Schultz is also the guy that does the podcast with Charlemagne, and he supposedly has this street cred and stuff like this, and he's able to go between the black community is how people perceive him, and Akash is there, to push the boundaries and for brown people too, and just a little background with those guys. Schultz had a thing with Dave Chappelle where I think Dave Chappelle, they had asked him what he thought about Schultz, or their names had crossed and stuff, and Chappelle was like, it's not what I do, as in, people interpreted it very negatively and stuff. But if you are a fan of comedy, like most people say they are and stuff, and things that are good and things that aren't so great with it, their type of comedy is for a special group. They maybe like that, the crowd work. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But if you're like me, you get tired of the same old jokes, the stereotypes, then the obnoxious behavior. This, as long as they have that pattern, then that's what they're doing that. And it kind of flipped around where many of these comedians say instead of material, they flip to the crowd work instead. And that's kind of, if you could do it, it kind of works. But then again, it's like a small bracket, a small barrier of comedians that could actually do it and make it a good time rather than rely on the stereotypes. Anyway, that's what I think these two are over here. So going back, the reason why I did a video on it called Dudes Ain't Dudin was because these were the same two on Flagrant 2 that had the two black brothers on from the UK, and where Schultz got a lot of shit because he was talking the shit and doing all the stereotypical shit against black women on the show. And people kind of spoke out and was like, we're not with this, that deal. I didn't put too much on Akaash at that time, but it remains the same. It's not the kind of comedy that I would render like decent and quality comedy. They're just for some quick laughs. Better podcasters than comedians, probably, if they weren't up in their egos. So that's that. Recently, an old video has resurfaced of, by the way, shout out to Too Lazy to Try. That's his background over there. And I remember I used it before, gave him a shout out before. He just has good shit once in a while with this. Why he's got the George Costanza over there? Because he does. It makes sense to all of us. So back to these guys over here, they go ahead and they operate in a space between, they're not red pillars, but they battle these issues and battle some of the people. As you could see there, you got Fresh and Fit in this interview or podcast that they're having there with opposing views. I might play a little bit of it. I don't want this to be too long, just so you get a little bit of flavor. But basically what we're doing is leaning a little bit over to the guy on the left, again, Akaash, who's been put in the spotlight of embarrassment because of his wife. Now, one thing you got to remember with a whole lot of this stuff is, dudes, internet is just a fake ass place with fake ass people. You could do anything. You could be anything. You know what I'm saying? And you could see that. Anything you want to be, however you want to dress yourself up, whatever titles that you could give yourself, because there's no red tape for that kind of stuff. You could present yourself how you want to be or how you've never been and how you want people to see you, and we got to remember, I guess that's just a part of life, that the internet's like that. It doesn't seem like the life of a content creator, the fast life of that in the spotlight and everything too, is a long lasting career, at least not for most people. We see some people do very well. People do well in spurts, hold on to it. But because there's no guidance through the threshold of what this thing is and what the capabilities are from its potential, nobody really knows how to handle that. There's no course. And, unfortunately, it might turn you into bad habits, or if you're already into bad habits, your ego and whatnot might exploit that, those weaknesses too. But anyway, these guys are back in the news, particularly Akaash, because his wife is going around embarrassing him. And part of this is like, I wasn't even paying attention, and I don't know if it's in my algorithm, as I was asking before, but this kept coming on, and people kept commenting on it. But even funnier, I guess because it is caught in the algorithm, are people's reactions to it. Like, I was listening to one today, and it's funny, or you got something, when the guy watching it in the video and you laugh at the exact same time because we both found the same shit ridiculous of what we were seeing with this also, right? So, again, I've said I'm not a red pillar. I don't believe in any of those ideologies, the nonsense, where people need leaders like this. And, I'm not into it. Be your own man. But then we have a guy who also, like me, thinks the red pill is ridiculous, but also does and says things that contrast his views, or him being able to stand up as a man. So a little bit of a background, and I'll play a little bit of this, and I just want to give my 2 cents in here too. It's you could tell both of them on their soapboxes. I'm talking about that dude in the middle there, Myron, next to Walter, otherwise known as Fresh and Fit, on that red pill dumb shit. Have their ideals, and they have their followers, and I believe they have a book out, which Akaash is saying also. But this is also based from a guy that has never had a girlfriend, admittedly. It came out, and this girlfriend that he boasted around in pictures and social media and all that said, no, we were never intimate, that. So he's faking the funk, just like Akaash was caught faking the funk. Let me play a couple things here. We'll skip through. But there are longer coverages. There are funny ass perspectives and stuff that you could just get consumed, if nothing else. Because I don't think this thing is that serious, and I really don't care. I really don't have any sympathy for anybody in this picture here also. It just became something that became so goddamn funny with everything that I've seen. So here we go.
My preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period. It's just, those are your roots. Those women are reflected in your roots.
Like, Akaash is the extreme. Like, yeah. Akaash only dates brown.
Oh, okay.
Akaash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an Indian woman.
So this is like loyal through and through.
Okay. The way I look at it is, you watch them fucking, you see them.
These are where people, it's funny, like anything else on the internet, where people are getting their information from, and listening to people with no other background than that. Here, I want to just try to find a couple.
Married, right? Yeah. Like, it's possible. Now, granted, we might call you in 10 years and be like, y'all were fucking right. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so 3 years ago, Fresh and Fit went on Flagrant, and
it was
some worse
3 years
clips.
ago. Now,
and
here's
it's painful
the
to
wife.
watch. I mean, this girl, she's up there with Jada Pinkett Smith, which she'd probably take as a compliment. That's how wild she is. So I just wanted to warn people before I get into this, the cringe is almost unbearable. Like, every guy watching this is going to die inside a little. So Akaash's wife, I think she's 10 years younger than him, and she's trying to be an influencer, so she doesn't make any money.
Part of my problem with the whole thing is that, there could be age differences and stuff, but when somebody doesn't even develop into really any sort of growth on themselves, or really have life experiences, which is the case, this chick is a little princess. Unfortunately, she's fucking annoying. Even her voice when she's talking about something, she's got that whiny little sing-songing. And what Akash got was basically a girl. Not a girl in the biological sense, but girl brain. Where if you're of a certain age, maybe even certain distinction, you want a woman who speaks, maybe a little more sophisticated, or at least knows where to not say F every line. You'll see with her, man, she's got a very foul mouth. And, I definitely use my swear words and slang here and there, but, to hear her talk about it, it's just a little entitled, no hold barred. Nobody told this little brat no. And it's definitely not going to be her husband in the future telling her no for anything also. But in the picture, she's always just so either standoffish or so passive of Akaash trying to be passionate with her.
But she spends his money like crazy. Most of her videos are like shopping vlogs and vacations. And when she was asked if they split finances, she said his money's our money and my money is my money, which Akaash sounds really stressed out about. Like, she had him on their podcast and he started flipping out about how she basically won't do anything except spend his money.
For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Jasleen. I'm a stay-at-home wife, but I don't cook or clean because I don't feel like it. And my husband is a full-time stand-up comedian and he buys me lots of nice things.
When I say I'm tired, she can't just let me be tired. I travel, I work, and I'm very blessed to do what I do. But when I tell my wife I'm tired, I want her to say, I'm sorry, baby. I understand. That must be exhausting, buying me all these things.
So without showing you all this, because it's all over the place, this is just some nerd shit. Like, they're all nerds up there. No disrespect to the brown dudes, but it's just not. You're always seeing is like some nerdy ass shit. And even the guy on the left who they're giving praises and shit like that says some goofy ass shit. And they're like, oh, that is the dopest shit I ever heard, and blah, blah, blah. What he's doing right there is airing out some real fucking grievances. Like, he's really bothered about that shit. But other thing, both of them are saying that they were virgins when they met, which is, whatever they concerned. Then she got some stories out there about how she was popping it. She had a rotation of guys. Women who say they have a rotation of guys, it doesn't look good for you. Because any guy, like, in reality, in the POV of the dude, you're the train. You're in the roster, dummy. So you don't even know the things to be bragging about and shit when you're doing that. And it just seems like with any of the affection and stuff, word I was looking for before, Akaash is definitely more desperate to have something more meaningful and to have his love and everything mean something more than just the show. He's trying to make these moves and stuff. Let me see if I could see anything down here. He does this thing where he proposes to her a second time because he said the first time wasn't enough or something I would call a homophobic slur, not out of it being anything homosexual, but because it describes exactly what he looked like doing that, his second thing over here. Let me play a little bit.
Instead, she goes, so am I. And if I dare open my mouth to go, what the did you do that made you tired? Now it's a problem. Now it's a fight. So I sit there.
I went to Pilates.
Oh, that's amazing. Yesterday, I worked the entire morning to night, whatever. I get a workout in because I'm trying to be less fat.
Admittedly, I am on a budget. Okay.
Because you want a house that I don't care about. A house.
This is public shit. This is the embarrassing thing where you weren't even in a relationship. You're at the dinner party, and all of a sudden you're airing out all your grievances and shit like this.
Yeah. We're leaving. Shut up.
We also just redid our closet.
This is all her closet.
Just, like,
She took the whole closet.
Enough space for.
It reminds me of, what is it, Kate versus 8 or some shit like that. Like, you're just a shitty person. And like I said, I don't really have any sympathy on either side. You didn't have, my friend, you didn't have post-nut clarity in this because you said you didn't sleep with anybody or have sex. You're a virgin before you met her. You only had pre-nut fogginess. All right. that's not a badge when you approach a situation as a man in your 30s, dude. So green. Like you just really nobody is getting that sympathy, man. But it's sad to see things go that way. But you should know better. You seriously should know better. You could do better. Don't be so desperate one way or another. And that's just all where I think this guy got caught up over here. So where my focus now is a little bit on, well, what happens now? You know, he's catching a lot of shit in the comments. People are typing all sorts of negative shit. He's a guy who has back and forth with the audience. So wondering how that's going to go. And he does a lot of things of, picking apart relationships and things like that. Also, let's see what she's whining about.
On the same rack.
So it's really bad, and it just
Did
keeps
you
getting
picture
worse.
that?
I'm sure people are stressed out just watching this, because also when she's not spending Akaash,
She does a lot of things also, I'll point out, with image. In other pictures, she was a lot darker. Her lips, she put some filler collagen thing in her lips to look more full. And, with other enhancements too. He likes saying that, oh, if you look at her, she's so beautiful and she's a virgin. For you bragging about that, my man, there is a little price that you got to pay to be doing that. But I want to know, what are the main concerns of people here? What comes to mind? People are saying they should split up. He's going to let her go. His career is over because, she's doing this. You can't be entitled to your husband's work. That's the part that bothers me. Even though I don't fuck with Akaash and his comedy like that either, I could see that he's worked and built a career. And I guess I would say now a successful career. You don't get to just jump on that and then you're as famous, as popular, or even as well liked to carry that on. You have no right to be doing that. And it's a attitude that she has. What I think people don't like, she has this entitlement, which she shouldn't have because she hasn't proven herself to be worth doing anything either. So I think she's way out of line. I think Akaash should know, if he had more self-worth, he'll choose better. Even when they are getting affectionate with each other and Akaash tries to pretend that they got one of these normal relationships and tries to kiss her on the cheek, she's always ducking and dodging, bobbing and weaving, man. Bobbing and weaving away from this guy for everything. So it seems like Akaash was just very desperate to have that connection, to have that, traditional thing that he was looking at. Since he's got the success and everything else, maybe time to focus on something else. But like I said, man, maybe post-nut clarity. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. I am interested in what the future looks like for this guy. I don't think he should be torn down, but again, for the sort of rhetoric that he puts out there, who knows what you got coming your way, but I don't wish anybody bad like that. I just wish for him that he could recover. And what is the next strategy? I'm genuinely interested in what the hell the next step is for this guy, to see what the social media does, because you could always come back. People are always coming back online and reinventing themselves, or the public is just forgetful after a couple of weeks. So I think he might ride it out. This is what he does. That girl has to grow up a little bit. And again, dudes, even dudes that I know around me, just speaking to my homeboy, you got to be better with some of the selections, man. You really got to think with the post-nut clarity, not the pre-nut fogginess. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, appreciate you for checking me out. Just dropped a little one. I really did want to drop one about Nicki Minaj, but maybe I'll save that one for next week too. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Thank you for checking me out. Like, share, subscribe. Come join me on Friday night when I do a live at 9 p.m. with the homegirl, Josephine the Chatavist, and everything else. Maybe go back and check Dudes Ain't Dudin Part 1. Appreciate you. Peace.